Hi guys, it's Brenda and welcome back to my channel. Yeah, I know I've been absent for a couple of weeks now. Sorry. But I've had a lot going on. I'm in the process of launching something new into my life and you guys will be the first to get my announcement. So watch out for that in a couple of weeks. I'm super duper excited. Yay! But this week I come to you guys with a topic that's kind of personal to me because it's something I've struggled with for about a decade now. Yeah, a decade. Officially, like an official diagnosis, a decade. um, Sleep. I don't know if many of you know that I actually struggle with a sleep disorder. I was officially diagnosed in 2008-ish? 2009 maybe. Maybe. Don't remember the exact year anymore. It's been a long time. It's all a blur. Life is a blur to me sometimes. Sorry. But yeah, I've always struggled with sleep. For as far back as I remember, I believe that the first time that I actually realized I had an issue with sleep was when I was a teenager. And I was getting a lot of migraines and I was dealing with headaches all the time. And it got so bad that I started struggling in school because I couldn't sleep at night. And I was up all night and I would fall asleep during my classes in my junior year. And I actually ended up leaving school in the middle of my junior year to just take some time off and get myself together because I was hurting. Like my grades were, they were terrible. And I was like in advanced placement classes, honors and all that good stuff. So for me to get a bad grade in those classes, it was like heart-wrenching because I was like a nerd and I still am. But yeah, so I left school in the middle of my junior year in high school. And then I went back to school my senior year. And I kind of like doubled up my classes to make up my credits from junior year and then senior year. I did not have a relaxing senior year like most seniors did, where they left in the middle of school. In the middle of school day, they were done. I was there till school ended. And I actually worked at the school store my senior year during my lunchtime to pick up an extra credit that I needed to graduate. Yeah, it was hard. My life's been a little challenging, but I've always, seen through it. So, all right. So, back then it was insomnia. It was definitely insomnia. I dealt with a lot of because I did deal with depression, and I had no idea I was dealing with depression back then. That was part of the insomnia. It was caused by the depression. But as a grown adult, I dealt with depression again. And it was because, I went through a lot of losses. I lost my parents. I was going through a lot of personal stuff myself. I was in a really bad place. And then, the whole emotional eating that I've talked about before. Yes, I was emotional eating myself into an early grave there. But I sought some counseling after like a couple of years after my mom passed away. I sought some counseling, and then he told me that because of my sleep struggle and my depression that I was dealing with, that I should probably speak to my primary care physician and see if maybe I needed to, get like a sleep study done and see if it was something more serious than just, I can't sleep. So I got a sleep study done. I spent a night at a facility, which was really awkward to have people watching you sleep. That was creepy. But I did it. I was in my pajamas. I did not go stark naked like I usually do. I was in pajamas. I slept in pajamas. I still wake up pretty early for work, and back then I woke up early for work too because I lived pretty far from work and it was like an hour of travel time each way. So the way that works is that they wake you up in the morning at the same time that you usually get up. So they don't want you to disturb your sleep routine. So I went in. I went to bed at 9, but I couldn't fall asleep because I knew that I was being watched and it was weird. But then I finally fell asleep and they were watching me sleep. They recorded everything apparently. They had me hooked up to all these little monitor thingies that it took like a week for the glue to wash off. I seriously was like showering twice a day trying to wash off some of that glue. Some of it got stuck like in my scalp with my hair, and it's curly. So as you can see, I have a hot mess of hair, and with that stuff, that glue stuff was not pretty. I remember people would look at me crazy because I had this like glue thing right here, and I had a hard time washing it off. It took like 3 days for that thing to come off, and yeah. Anywho, they woke me up at the usual time I would get up back then, which was like, I think it was 4 a.m. because I had to be at work at 6. And they kicked me out on a Saturday morning at 4 a.m., which I was mad because usually Saturdays were the days that I slept in. But yeah, I went home and slept some more. But the thing is that the issues I was dealing with wasn't just insomnia. It wasn't a matter of I can't fall asleep. It was a matter of I can fall asleep, but I can't stay asleep. I was constantly waking up throughout the night, and I had no idea what the hell was going on or why I was doing that. I never felt rested. It got extreme for me to the point that I was falling asleep at work. I was falling asleep driving, which is bad. I was falling asleep everywhere because I just wasn't rested. I was tired, constantly tired. Didn't matter if I slept 10 hours. If I went to bed at 6 p.m. and woke up at 4 a.m., that's what, like 10 hours? Yeah, because till 6 a.m. it would be 12. So 10, yeah. If I slept a full 10 hours a night and I would wake up the following morning still feeling tired, I didn't understand what was going on with me. Like my body it was just always so tired. I didn't want to do anything. There was like, I went through like a few months where I didn't do anything. I was just going to work, then coming straight back home, and I would just lay there and sometimes fall asleep on a sofa, and I was constantly still waking up, and I just didn't feel rested. So I knew I had to do something, and my counselor told me, yeah, that's not right. You need to get checked and see what's going on. So I got that sleep study done. A couple of days later, I got a call from my primary care physician, and he told me that I had sleep apnea. I was like, what the hell is that? So he explained it a little bit to me, but then I ended up Googling it because, that's what you do now. And you freak yourself out a little more. So he gave me the side effects of it. Well, not side effects, but some of the symptoms that come along with it. And I actually did Google it because I want to give you guys the correct thing. I don't want to just say stuff and it's not right. So sleep apnea is a potentially serious sleep disorder in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts. I was literally stopping my breathing in my sleep, and that's why I constantly kept waking up. My brain wasn't getting the oxygen it needed while I was sleeping, and the moment it would happen, my brain would stop. So then I would wake myself up. I was doing that every 30 minutes. How the hell was I ever going to be rested if I kept waking up every 30 minutes? Yeah, that's what he told me, that it was pretty extreme, that the recording that they took of me, I was basically waking myself up every 30 minutes. I was stopping. My brain wasn't responding to the oxygen every 30 minutes, almost every 30 minutes. So I was like, what? Yeah, so he prescribed me what they call a CPAP machine, which is a continuous positive airway pressure machine. I looked that up too. I never knew what it stood for. I just knew CPAP. Everyone called it a CPAP. So I sleep with the awesome mask at night. It's not awesome. It's annoying. But especially when you have a cold and you can't really breathe through your nose. Yeah, that mask is no help. Yeah, so I sleep with that mask every night in order for me to sleep well. And it's not just that, just to sleep well, it's to keep me alive. Basically, that mask keeps me alive because I could literally stop breathing in my sleep. There is a situation where that could happen. And my dad struggled with sleep. He was that person that fell asleep anywhere. And after I learned about this and I did my research and the doctor told me about it, I realized, holy shit, my dad had it and he never got it diagnosed. My dad, his death, he died in his sleep. From the people that he was around when he passed away, because he wasn't here in the States when he passed away. He was actually in Mexico visiting family. And my cousin was in the same room as him when he was asleep. And he told us that he woke up out of his sleep to take a really big breath. And then he went back down and he never woke up. My dad died because of his sleep apnea. And I don't want to be that person, so I'm going to keep taking care of myself and make sure that I do what I need to do to keep myself alive. That's a scary thought that I could die in my sleep and not see my people again. So, yeah, sleep is not something to mess with, people. You need it. If you don't have a routine, a nighttime routine, a morning routine to get your day going, you should really reconsider that. Don't take your sleep for granted. Your body recovers when you're sleeping. It regenerates when you're sleeping. Your body needs it. If you don't get sleep, there's so much that can happen when you don't get sleep. Depression is definitely one of them. I know people who, because they're not sleeping well, they just struggle to get through life altogether. And that's something to consider. Think about that. If you're having a rough day, why? Probably because you didn't sleep well. Did you give yourself enough time to sleep? That is the biggest thing you can do for yourself, is make sure that you're rested. I understand that life happens, especially if you're a parent and you have children that are constantly, like, if they're sick, or if you have a baby at home that is constantly waking you up in the middle of the night. Yeah, that's hard. But you still need to make sure that you're rested, because you can't give from an empty cup. I can tell you that much right now. You're no good to people around you if you're running on fumes. I figured that out myself. I almost lost my job because I was falling asleep at work. And that was my wake-up call right there. I was like, no, I need this job. I need to pay my bills. I need to keep a roof over my head. I need to keep my car. Those were the things that pushed me to get into the doctor to see why I was having such a hard time sleeping. Some of the things that cause sleep apnea, it could be genetic, and I think mine is partially genetic, but obesity also causes sleep apnea, and that is the biggest one is age. A lot of older people have it, like people like in their 60s and 70s and 80s. Yeah, they get it, but obesity is the number 2 cause, and I am definitely putting myself in that category too. Because, like I said, I was emotional eating, and I was eating myself into an early grave, literally. So I know that sleep apnea isn't permanent for everybody, unless it's genetic, which I'm hoping it's not for me, because I didn't have it my entire life. It just kind of appeared when I was in my depression mode. And I'm hoping that when I lose enough weight, that I don't need to sleep with that machine anymore. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing this for myself, my life change. I don't want to be a slave to a machine. I don't. I want to be able to go camping and not have to worry about, oh, where am I going to plug in my machine? Yeah, which is why I don't do a lot of stuff where I go out of town. I don't want to travel with that thing, first of all. It's hard to travel with luggage already, and then you have to make sure that that thing doesn't get bumped around and, you know, ends up getting broken. Then you can't sleep. You literally can't sleep because you're afraid that you might not wake up from that sleep if you sleep without that thing. It's horrible, you know. It's something that I rely on, that I constantly rely on daily in order to keep myself going, and it sucks. So I'm hoping to have another sleep study done this year before the year ends to see where I'm at. Maybe it's not as severe as it used to be since I have lost so much weight, but I'm hoping that I don't need it at all anymore. And I've just been using it because I'm afraid to not use it. That happens. So there are 3 strains of sleep apnea that I know of. There's obstructive sleep apnea, there's central sleep apnea, and then there's complex sleep apnea. I have obstructive sleep apnea, which is the more common, and it occurs in the throat muscles. The way it works is, let's see here. It occurs when the muscles in the back of your throat relax. It says these muscles support the soft palate, the triangular piece of tissue that hanging from the soft palate is, I really need this ovula, because tonsils. The tonsils, the side walls of the throat and the tongue. It says when the muscles relax, your airway narrows or closes as you breathe in. You can't get enough air, which can lower the oxygen level in your blood. Your brain senses your inability to breathe and briefly rouses you from sleep so you can reopen your airway. This awakening is usually so brief that you don't remember it. You might snort, choke, or gasp. This pattern can repeat itself 5 to 30 times or more each hour. All night, impairing your ability to reach the deep, restful phases of sleep. I didn't ever get to that REM state before I was diagnosed. Before I started using that machine, I did not remember what it was like to feel rested because I never went into a deep sleep. That's dangerous shit right there. You know how mind-fucked I was during that time? I was like fog. I felt stupid. I was constantly dropping the ball on everything. And it was horrible. So I'm thankful that I got diagnosed, but it still sucks that I have to rely on a machine to keep me alive. Yeah. But I will make sure that this year I'm not going to end the year without getting another sleep study done, because I want to make sure that I don't need that machine anymore and that I'm still using it. I have a feeling that's the case. I feel like I don't need it anymore and that I have been using it because I rely on it too much. And if I don't need it, do you know how freeing that is for me? I can sleep on the other side of the bed. Yeah. I'm excited to do this again. Although it's an uncomfortable feeling, like I said, to have someone stare at you while you're sleeping. It's creepy. But I'm hoping that when I do it again, that I don't do that machine anymore. So if you're having issues with sleep, don't self-diagnose, okay? Don't say, oh, I have the same thing as her. I want you to get checked. Please make sure that you are following up with your doctor, because sleep issues, they're nothing to joke with. They're nothing to play around with. You need to make sure that you are getting your full night's sleep, because you are no good to anybody else around you if you aren't good. I can tell you that right now. I found that out the hard way. But yeah, that is all I wanted to share with you guys. I know I hadn't told a lot of people about this. I was kind of, not gonna lie, I was kind of ashamed of having this diagnosis, because I know that it's my own fault. You know, I put myself in this obesity that I had. But, you know, I'm not ashamed of it because it's something I'm living with now. You know, it is what it is. I'm pretty much putting myself out there to you guys like 1000% all the time, like 100%, 1000% vulnerable. That's who I'm being with everybody now. So I am opening myself up to you guys. Hopefully, the stuff that I go through, either you relate or you can understand, and maybe you'll learn something from what I've gone through. I'm going to link this article that I was reading off of into the comments, into the little box, not the comments, into the little box, so that you guys can look at it. And you know, if you're interested to read more on sleep apnea, you're more than welcome to. But okay, that's it. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Bye.